With the release of Red Dead Redemption on mobile a few weeks ago, it really puts into perspective just how far mobile gaming has come these last few years, and it made me want to take a quick look back at the Red Dead on mobile that we had back in 2011. So come with me for a bit of a blast from the past to a game that you may have forgotten even existed, as it's no longer available to play. So, the year is 2011, and a little mobile game developer by the name of Gameloft are really at their prime, with games such as Modern Combat, Nova, Asphalt, and Dungeon Hunter really leading the charge at what mobile gaming can do. And with these games, you may notice that Gameloft liked to sort of take what was popular on console and try and bring a mobile version to phones, so you could get a taste of that action on the go. And this is exactly what they did with the 2010 game Red Dead Redemption by Rockstar Games. Originally released as an iOS exclusive in 2011, Six Guns was a free-to-play, Western-themed shooter that was set in a stylized version of Arizona and Oregon. Upon launching the game, you were booted up to a sort of tutorial/intro mission, where you're taught the ropes of the game and how it works, before you're set off into an open world to sort of do whatever you want. There are missions spread around that you can do, and doing those missions unlock other missions, and it sort of just had a loop of completing missions to get XP and currency, to then unlock other missions, purchase new equipment, rinse and repeat until you get bored, essentially. There was an open world that you could sort of explore, and collectibles that you could find around the map, but not a huge amount to do and nothing really to interact with as such, but it was pretty cool to just sort of run around or hop on horseback while you're on the train or the bus. In terms of the missions themselves, there was a sort of a mix between gang hideouts, defense missions, races, target shooting, and sort of weird ghost hunting missions, I suppose. Now this alone was pretty cool for a phone game, but it also was sort of disappointing that after so many great Gameloft campaigns, this one just didn't have one, especially compared to the story that you get in Red Dead Redemption. However, in around about 2012, the game was brought to Android phones, and around that same time, Six Guns also got a huge update that brought a full single-player campaign to the game.
Thought it was a woman screaming, but it's just a vulture.
The story begins with Buck Crosshaw waking up alone in the desert. He's hungover, disoriented, and has no idea how he got there. With nothing else to go on, Buck heads west and soon comes across a small town where a woman is in trouble.
Help!
Looks like trouble.
Please!
After helping her, she sends Buck to a nearby settlement that's under attack by bandits. Buck fights them off, but the town isn't safe just yet. The bandits return and set a nearby barn on fire. Buck has to put out the fire before finishing the fight and saving the town. As thanks, the woman gives Buck a horse and sends him on his way, casually calling him darling as she does.
Thank you, darling.
However, that word triggers something in Buck. He has a sudden flashback, a fragmented memory of himself shooting his own wife.
Darling, I'm so glad you're here. There's something important we need to talk about. Darling, I'm scared.
Please, don't!
Shaken and confused, Buck rides to a nearby town and visits a salesman to buy an elixir, hoping it might steady him. While he's there, the town is attacked again. Buck helps defend it, but afterwards the town sheriff confronts him.
Lot of nerve showing your face here, you sick son of a...
Clearly recognizing Buck and condemning him for his past actions. Buck doesn't understand why, until another flashback confirms what he's afraid of, that he really did kill his own wife.
Please, don't!
While they are having this discussion though, another group of bandits attack, and he helps the sheriff defend the town once more, at which stage the sheriff decides to let Buck go. For now. Trying to understand what happened, Buck decides to visit his wife's grave. On the way, he gathers flowers for her, but while doing so, a bear emerges from a nearby cave. Buck kills it and continues on, only to arrive at the grave and discover a group of men digging up her body. They throw her corpse onto a horse and flee, leaving men behind to kill Buck. After dealing with them, Buck realizes his purpose is now clear. find the men who took his wife, discover why they did it, and get her back.
I'm gonna find the bastards that did this, and I'm gonna kill them. Good and slow.
One of the guns dropped by the fallen men carries a symbol pointing Buck towards Fort Malanoche. On his way there, Buck encounters a man asking for help. Wanted posters falsely accusing him of murder. Buck agrees to help remove them, but is attacked by bounty hunters trying to claim the reward. After surviving, Buck returns to the man, who asks him for a bit more help, but later on at night. In the meantime, Buck continues on to Fort Malanoche, infiltrating it and fighting his way through its occupants. Inside, he faces a heavily armed leader who uses a mounted gun and throws dynamite. Buck must grab and throw it back before it explodes, and after defeating him, Buck interrogates the man to learn that what he's looking for is located in a saloon in a town called Socorro. Upon arriving at the saloon, Buck speaks to the barman, but the conversation is interrupted by an ambush of men. After surviving, Buck interrogates the barman, who explains that a gang has been kidnapping people and forcing them to work in the gold mines until they die.
There's a new gang in town. Bloodiest bunch of bastards that ever wandered this vile land. Brutal, ruthless, totally amoral. They kidnap innocent people, send them to the gold mines, and work them till they die of starvation or at the end of a whip.
He claims that they took his son and says that if Buck can save him, he'll explain who's behind the kidnapping of his wife.
We got a deal?
Deal.
His first hunt leads him to Coward Mark, but before Buck can finish him off, Coward Mark is killed by something unseen across the lake. Suddenly, demonic gates open and creatures pour out. Buck fights them off with help from the man he assisted earlier, a mysterious stranger who offers little explanation before disappearing again. Returning to Socorro, Buck is sent after more members of the gang. Heavy Will, who conveniently is located upstairs in the saloon. Sharp Joe, whom Buck hunts with the help of a sniper during a wave-based ambush. And Hurricane Matt, whom Buck chases on horseback as Matt throws dynamite behind him before leading you into another ambush and being killed. The final gang member, Lone Wolf, confronts you outside of the saloon, but upon battling with him, he transforms into a monstrous werewolf and runs away. The mysterious stranger arrives just in time to see this happen and agrees to help track him down, so the two of you head off and follow clues to arrive at Sister Ingrid's mine, where wolves, demons, and bandits all reside. You kill them and take down Lone Wolf, before returning to the saloon to inform the barman. However, upon arrival, you notice that the saloon is suspiciously empty, before being knocked unconscious by the man that just helped you. You awake, tied to a chair, with the mysterious stranger sitting across the table from you, who explains that the barman that you've been helping never had a son, and he was the original leader of the gang that you just took down.
He don't even have a son. He's the sickest outlaw of them all. He's got his fingers in every vile act from here to the California coast.
The barman had a goal to perform a ritual that releases evil spirits into our world, and that he was behind the kidnapping of your wife. The reason for this? The mysterious stranger explains that your wife was the mastermind behind it all, an evil witch who had been sacrificing innocents to feed the Dark Prince.
I know this witch quite well. She used to be your wife.
While originally in denial, you begin to have flashbacks of the moment of her death and remember her demonic presence and the reason that you shot. Understandably, Buck needs a drink. He has a few too many drinks, however, and a mission similar to that in Red Dead 2 plays out. A drunken Buck stumbles around town, flirting with the girls and causing a ruckus before a group of men, once again, ambush you for a fistfight in the streets. The sheriff arrives to put a stop to things, but in your drunken state, you refuse to cooperate. and end up in the nearby jail for the night. While in there, however, you listen to two men in a nearby cell explaining that they know where the barman is, so you agree to work together to escape and go track him down. During your escape plan, however, you were double-crossed by the men who leave you to rot, but luckily you can reach the key from within the guard's pocket and escape to track them down. You follow the trail of men, eventually arriving at an outlaw camp outside of town, and fight your way through the camp before entering a mine on the other side. Inside, Buck confronts the barman, who claims the ritual has already begun, that the devil will possess him and bind him to Buck's wife. But before he can finish, he discovers that he had been poisoned, and your wife emerges from the shadows to take charge.
Darling, I've been dying to see you again.
She explained that your love was never real, and that a love elixir was concocted to make you fall in love with her. Frequent doses were required to keep it working, however, and these doses required the blood of innocence. However, the more that she killed, the more she learnt to enjoy it, and the more that she fell in love with the Dark Prince on the other side. While explaining this, the mysterious stranger intervenes, shooting her with a crossbow, enraging your wife and turning her into the witch that she is, who pounces on him and rips him apart. Buck takes the stranger's gun and faces his wife in an epic boss fight as she summons demons and witches. However, Buck kills her and she explodes. Buck returns to check on the dying stranger, who explains it's too late for him and that Buck needs to deal with the darkness currently residing inside him. He reminds Buck that darkness cannot be fought with darkness before Buck is pulled into an alternate reality where an evil version of himself, the devil, confronts him.
Thought you'd never make it. I turned to face the voice and find myself staring at myself. A darker version of me.
This devil explains that he was behind the death of his wife and manipulated Buck into making the shot.
It was I who killed your wife.
This partly relieves Buck, knowing that he was not responsible for his wife's death, but knows that he must take out the devil in order to escape. He is reminded that darkness cannot defeat darkness, so he puts away his gun and refuses to attack. The devil begins to attack Buck, but is defended by shadowy figures who eventually swarm the devil and destroy him.
You can't beat me. I'm all powerful. You're nothing. Get away from me. Get away. No!
Buck is returned to the mine, rescues the stranger, and escapes. Outside, the sheriff and his men arrive, but let Buck go, choosing to clean the mess up themselves. Buck buries the mysterious stranger and vows to rid the land of any remaining demons or die trying.
I'll either rid this land of evil or die trying.
Now, even with the campaign added, Six Guns never fully escaped its free-to-play roots. Story missions were locked behind level requirements, meaning you still had to grind XP and money, mostly by replaying those original 1.0 missions, which had now been repurposed as side content. And of course, the microtransactions were always there, offering shortcuts if you didn't want to put in the time. After that, Six Guns settled into its final form. Gameloft continued supporting it with small updates and seasonal events, but never received another expansion on the scale of the campaign. Over time, compatibility issues crept in, and sometime in the mid to late 2000s, the game was quietly delisted from app stores. There was no announcement, no send-off, it just disappeared, as many Gameloft games unfortunately did. And that's what makes Six Guns so fascinating to look back on now. It launched as a simple mission grinder, evolved into a full supernatural western campaign, and then vanished completely. With Red Dead Redemption now officially playable on mobile, it's amazing to see how far we've come. But Six Gun represents an earlier era of mobile gaming, when developers were experimenting, pushing limits, and trying to bring console-style ideas to phones long before the hardware was ready. It wasn't perfect, it was grindy and heavily monetized, but it was ambitious, weird, and memorable. So, if you played Six Guns back in the day, especially if you experienced both the 1.0 version and the campaign update, I'd love to hear your memories. Drop them in the comments below, and just on that as well, let me know if you enjoyed this type of video. It's very different to the normal long plays that I do. I was originally just going to do a short for this, but I really wanted to flesh it out a little bit longer, so I'd love to hear your feedback, and maybe I'll do another one of these in the future. Thanks for watching.